Okay, here we are at last, part 7 of the Google UX course. Once again, this part of the course is divided into two parts. One is about creating your third portfolio project, and the other one is all about job searching, interview preparation and all that. And just as a friendly reminder where we're at, here is a nice little Coursera bug again. So in the assignment upload screens you have some blue buttons that you have to click to start the upload. But the distance from those blue buttons to the content on the top is practically the same as to the content on the bottom. So when there is a longer list, you don't really know which button is actually connected to which part of the text. And I actually noticed some people uploaded the wrong exercise into the wrong place because of that. And I know this is a pretty small mistake, this is a pretty small bug, but it does have some impact, and actually as designers I believe that you should be able to start noticing things like that because they are important. Little details is where it's at. So let's start with the third portfolio project, shall we? The idea for the third portfolio project is to design a product for the social good. And of course this is admirable, and of course it's also good because if you already created two regular products, for consumers in the first parts of the course, then the third one should be a little bit different, and the theme of it being different is actually a pretty good idea. And once again they provide you with a randomizer that you can use to generate those social good ideas for you, but there is a small problem with that. A lot of these sentences don't really match each other, and yeah, it looks kind of weird. So instead I decided to pick my own project. I didn't really want to make a food ordering service made out of pets because I'm practically vegan anyway. So I had this idea because I'm very engaged with how clean the seas and the oceans are. I sometimes go to the beach with a plastic bag and collect all the plastic there. So I came up with an idea for an app that will give you rewards and points for collecting plastics. And I also assumed that the city would place like machines near the beach where you can get, scan the app and get like a plastic bag. And then at the end you can go there, put it on a scale, and then you can redeem the points based on the weight of your plastic, and you drop it off into a special container. And of course it's pretty far from reality, and machines like that would be pretty expensive, but it's okay to dream, right? So I started planning up the app and really hoping to get to some nice visuals for it. And then Google hit me with like this entire UX process all over again. So I had to do all the personas, affinity diagrams, competitive audits and everything from scratch. And I get it, it makes sense to reinforce it all over again because that kind of teaches people that every project needs an approach that has a lot of that UX process in it. It all seems a bit rushed though, because the last part of the course is only 5 weeks. And out of these 5 weeks, the last 2 weeks are dedicated to the jobs and portfolios and case studies and resumes and everything. So you only have 3 weeks to actually design the app, and a lot of that is actually quizzes. So there is, I think, only one peer graded assignment for the actual design that you're making. And it's not even high fidelity. So basically this part of the course is just to add another project to your portfolio using all the knowledge that you gained from courses 1 through 6. Now the second part of the course is a little bit more interesting because finding a job and understanding how recruitment works in the UX industry and what you should do and how you should prepare is actually very important. And I still don't understand why they didn't actually create an extra segment with this. Like, this should be its own thing, not kind of added on top of the social good app design exercise. Because of that grouping of those two things together in one block, I think that it takes a little bit of the weight away from this job hunting, and it shouldn't. This should be its own thing, and it should be explained in a lot more detail. And the reason for this part of the course is obviously that many people finish the course and want to become a UX designer for the fame, the money and the glory and the sports cars and everything. And of course you can't get that experience without getting a job first. So you need to get a job, and Google will tell you how. And speaking of Google, we already established that a lot of the stuff that they're teaching is kind of like them making their own future Google employees. So I found it actually pretty funny when they mentioned that you can use a search engine to look for companies to apply to. Like, they didn't say you can Google them because that would be kind of like I think a little bit over the top. So yeah, you can ding your future employers as much as you want. But right off the bat, I have to say that some of the tips in this part of the course are very good. And you should pay a lot of attention to what they're saying here, because this actually combined with the portfolio is gonna be what lands you the job. For starters, they identify the different types of job that you can have. So you can work for a very large company, and then like Google, a lot of these processes will be pretty similar to the ones in the course. But you can also work for smaller companies, design agencies, marketing agencies, or go freelance and work directly with clients. So yeah, potential employers can be different. There is not just one type of company that is hiring UX designers. There are multiple, and they stated very clearly that you should actually do some research and iterate on your portfolio to actually match the type of business you're applying to. Of course, for a larger company, a case study with like a super long text and a lot of the whole UX process is a must. And then for a smaller company, a lot of the UI examples with some foundational UX knowledge is gonna be preferred. So if you're applying to a smaller company, it's best to show that you're a generalist and that you can actually do the UI. Another thing that they mention is to also tell what you did wrong and what you could improve in your case studies. And I will add a little bit to that. I believe that, of course, it's really good to identify your weaknesses and show that you have the willingness to learn, but at the same time, they can't be too big, because of course this is still a negative thing. And if you're adding too much negative things to your case study or to your portfolio, it will actually affect the way that the recruiters are looking at it. So basically it's best to keep that section pretty small. It's good to show that you understand that design is something that you iterate on and that you always can improve something. But just don't go over the top with identifying your own mistakes, because in the end it's gonna undermine you, and that's not the point. The case study should be generally positive. It's actually worth mentioning that if you ever worked at like a typical office environment, and it doesn't have to be UX of course, but any kind of office, you know, with like an open space and a lot of people doing stuff on their computers, then a lot of those hiring processes are gonna be the same. They're gonna have a couple of extra things that are related to the UX part, but there is a lot of explanation of how the entire process works and how recruiters work, what are recruitment agencies, how interviews work, how they're conducted usually, and all that. And this is not only true for the UX industry, this is true for pretty much any kind of office work. The only difference is that for a UX role, you'll have to actually prove that you know what you're doing and show the portfolio. And from my perspective, I'm gonna point out two things that I believe that are very important if you're going to a job interview. So the first thing is that you need to research the company you're applying for. You need to know at least a little bit about them. You need to know what their products are. You need to know their marketing or their slogan, or just click through their website to just know where you're going, basically. We've had this problem many times, actually. Some young people showed up to a job interview at Hype4 and they had no idea what we're doing. The only thing that they were certain about is the amount of money that they wanted, but they didn't do any research. They didn't really see what kinds of products and services we offer, and it could show. It was really visible on those interviews. And this is like a pretty basic way to weed out the people that are not gonna fit the company. Because if the people are too lazy to actually do any research about the company they're applying for, and they just show up because they've seen, you know, your job advertisement somewhere, then it's not gonna be a good fit. So yeah, do your research and understand the company you're applying for, or your chances are just gonna drop down to zero. And the second thing is to show any kind of ambition and dedication. And by that, I don't really mean that you're open to be working 12-hour days and weekends and all that. By ambition and curiosity and dedication, I mean that you are willing to explore other things outside of work to get better at what you're doing, because first of all, it benefits you, because you know more, you're more experienced, and then it benefits the company as well. So you can mention that you're trying to learn some interaction design, some very simple animations and transitions, and you're doing that on your own, because that shows that you're actually interested in the industry. So even before you become a UX designer, they can see that you really want to be a UX designer, that you want to know these things, and that you want to know these things because it's just fun to do these things for you. And of course, getting money for it is important, but if it's only about the money, it's very visible to the recruiters and the employers. So just show them that you want to be better at what you're doing and that you're still learning and that you have the willingness to learn. So you don't really accept just one position and then sit there for years. You want to grow and you want to be better and better. Bottom line is this: companies like ambitious people. Trust me on this. Okay, so what do I think about this entire Google course? Well, after that last part, I still think it's pretty good. It is very Google oriented, so it's practically training future Google designers, but if you take this into account and if you learn additional things on the side, you should have enough knowledge to land a job at a smaller company as well. But of course, the course itself is not gonna guarantee you a job. This course is gonna only give you a base to start from. And what it's also gonna give you is the ability to understand all of those UX articles and videos. So learning on your own after you finish the course is gonna get a little bit easier. And this is good and this is important because you'll have to learn a lot still. The knowledge from this course is just gonna make it a little bit clearer, so you'll be going through those extra materials faster. So should you take it? If you have no prior experience with user experience design or anything like that, I believe that this is a very good start. Just be aware that this is just the beginning and it's definitely not enough to land the job, unless you're like super lucky. But it's okay. It's a good course for general UX knowledge, for UX basics and UX foundations. And if you treat it like that, you'll probably get best results. So this is a good start, and if you're considering going into UX, it's also one of the cheaper courses out there. And will this course teach you how to design beautiful user interfaces? No. But don't worry, I'm actually working on my own course that's gonna do that for you. Okay, that's it for today. I'm gonna make another video interviewing some potential employers on what their take is on this course and on this certification. And these are gonna be pretty big companies, but I'm also gonna share a little bit of our own take on hiring. And what do we think about certificates, resumes, and what we look for actually if we're hiring somebody as a designer. So if you don't want to miss the video, subscribe and click the notification bell. And as usual, thanks for watching. Let me know what you think about this course in the comments below, and I'm gonna catch you guys in the next one. Cheers.